Hey everyone, Nate here with Outside Cleaners. I'm on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where for the last almost 14 years I've been cleaning roofs, decks, patios, and siding. In this video, I'm going to start to share some thoughts and observations regarding the costs of exterior cleaning. I've got a lot of feelings and thoughts on this topic. I'm probably going to end up making more than one video, but I got to start somewhere. This video, I can tell, is going to be a little bit more aimed towards the homeowner. So what are the factors that go into the price you'll pay to have your roof or deck or whatnot cleaned up? If you're in this industry, if you're a service provider, a cleaning contractor, please do stay tuned. Keep an ear to this channel because my next video is going to be much more directed to your side of the equation of the cost. Okay? So what I did was I sat down and I made a list of what I consider to be the main factors that will affect the price that a homeowner pays to have this type of cleaning service performed. I didn't write them in any order, but interestingly, I would say that the first thing that came to my head, I would put as number one the most important factor. Where do you live? Where do you live in this country? Obviously, there's tremendous differences in the U.S. Of the cost of living. Just what's it cost to rent an apartment in your county? What's it cost to rent a garage space? These things will profoundly affect the price that you can expect to pay for exterior cleaning. And in not just the obvious ways. I mean, yes, whoever you're hiring has to live somewhere kind of nearby within a drivable distance, and if they have to live in an area that's very expensive to live, they have very high expenses to cover through their work. So you're gonna pay more for labor in a expensive area of the country. That's just the way it is. Look at the flip side. If you are in an area or a county that's very, very low cost of living, there's probably a lot more labor available. When there's more labor available, there tends to be more competition among this type of service. When there's more competition, the price goes down. A little more subtly, and I see this where I live, the expensive area, like here I am on Cape Cod, it's a seaside, largely sort of a retirement or second home or vacation type area. These homes are just more expensive than a home in the middle of a suburban area inland somewhere. These homes, just the outside of the home is going to probably be a more expensive material. I'm looking at my house right here. I've got white cedar shingled siding. It's not vinyl, it's not aluminum, it's not concrete hardy board, that type of thing. The more expensive materials are more difficult to clean. The learning curve is longer. More can go wrong. So you need somebody who has a little bit more experience than if they were just squirting bleach on a vinyl house in, suburbia. That's just the way it is. A great example comes to mind, and I'm looking this way just down my street here because I was called earlier this summer to get a work proposal to clean this elderly lady's house, and it's not a big house. It's about the size of my house, and I said, "Yeah, here's what it'll cost. Here's my price to do this work as well as it can be done." Now, like I said, she was a little on the elderly side, and to her credit, she has her daughter involved in the household finances. I think the daughter is just looking to make sure that this homeowner doesn't get ripped off by somebody, and good for them. But the daughter came back to me and said, "No, this is $100 too high." And that was really surprising to me because I gave, she's almost my neighbor. I gave her a great deal, but the daughter was adamant, "No, this is too expensive. And long story short, the daughter was basing her view of this based on where the daughter lives in, a vinyl town in New Jersey. And we went in sort of some death spirals, and I said, look, I can't provide the service you want for the price you're expecting, which is not based on the reality where I live. So yeah, your geographic location is going to be a huge, huge factor in the price you pay to have your exterior of your house cleaned or washed, or however you want to say it. All right, another factor, and again, these aren't in a particular order, but that geographical location one, I would put number one. Next factor on my list, the timing. What's the timing? And by that I mean, I get calls. I just got a call here in August of 2024. Somebody wants to set up a time for me to wash their house in October of 2025. So that's 16 months away. I can give them a great price. I have time to plan accordingly. I'm not looking at my calendar, at a full calendar, wondering like, oh, how am I going to make this work? The calls I often get, the classic story is 2 weeks before Memorial Day here, my phone will fill up with voice messages every single day. Like, it will hit its limit, and I can't receive any more messages because it's choking on messages. People are calling in a panic. They realize, oh, they've got renters coming in 2 weeks, and their deck is like dangerously slippery with algae. So at that point, when I look at my calendar and it is full 7 days a week, week after week, the only way I can help that person is if I bend over backwards to maybe work at night with a headlamp on my head, or call up and down my list to find somebody who might be willing to bump it back a couple weeks so I can swap spots with them and get this person who didn't plan ahead in at the last moment. Absolutely. Those people who call in a crisis or a last minute emergency, I'm going to charge more for, because it's going to take more effort from me on the scheduling and the back end of things to make it work out. So I put that right on my work proposal. When they call in that situation, I say, hey, look, I'm adding another 20% to what I normally would, because this is an emergency rush job, and this is what's going to make it worth it for me. The lesson being, if you're a homeowner and you want this service performed, call as far ahead as you can. I mean, it's August. I'm booking jobs for next spring, and I am so grateful that these people are planning ahead. I can give them the best possible price because, again, it's not a emergency crisis scenario. Next on my list, the difficulty of the job. Obviously, if you want a concrete walkway cleaned, that's about as easy as it gets. If you want a cedar roof cleaned and it's on a house is on a hillside and that side of the house is not really even accessible, that's going to be more expensive, even for the same amount of time. If it takes me 3 hours to clean a bunch of concrete, well, that price is going to be here. And if I spend 3 hours cleaning a bunch of cedar roofing, that price is going to be necessarily much higher because it's a lot more difficult. The learning curve has been way longer. There's a lot more that can go wrong, and on and on. Similarly, all right, let's use that same cedar roof as an example. If I show up and I look at a cedar roof that the homeowner wants cleaned, and the cedar roof just has, some tiny little bits of moss here and there and a little discoloration from algae, that roof is going to be a lot less expensive to have cleaned than a roof of the same size, which, when I look at it, I can't even see the shingles for all the moss and lichen. It's just a carpet up there. It looks like a roof lawn. That roof, although the same size as the other one, is going to be multiples in price to clean compared to the roof that is, really pretty good and just needs a touch up. Next is, who are you hiring? And by that, I mean, is this a company, like the company is really just a guy in an old 4Runner and he's got a power washer that he drags out of the back? Or are you hiring somebody who has a warehouse and a fleet of trucks and 12 employees but 4 of those are just support staff in the office. That company is going to have way more overhead, way more expenses associated with doing business than the guy in the little pickup with the drag along power washer, which that's how I started out. I was that guy. I look back at the work I did and the prices I did it for when I first started. I mean, it's what I felt I had to do, but you know, when people call me today and they say, oh yeah, 13 years ago you cleaned my deck and I want it cleaned again, it's painful because I have to say, look, never mind the time difference, it's going to be profoundly more expensive now because I've got things like, hey, insurance. Yeah, my first year in cleaning, I was as busy as could be and I didn't have insurance. Again, that was 14 years ago, but I mean, compare that to what I pay today just to show up and to do the same job. I've got garage space. I've got auto insurance, commercial auto. I've got liability. I've got workers' comp. That adds thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to the cost that I have to pay just to be able to show up and do the same job. I will say in this industry, and I've harped on this before, but you know, fully insured means different things to different people. If, as a homeowner, if it's important to you that the service provider who's, you know, climbing all over your house, up on ladders, on slippery ladders with chemicals and, you know, all that, if it's important to you that they have insurance, get a certificate of insurance sent to you. It's not something that the cleaner hands over. It goes to you from their underwriter, usually by email, straight from the underwriter to you. That cleaner doesn't touch it because they could just PDF, Photoshop, whatever they want. I absolutely encourage homeowners to hire people who are fully insured. That means liability, workers' comp, and commercial auto. You'll pay more for it, and it'll be worth it by peace of mind, or the moment something goes wrong, everybody's covered. I mentioned the condition of the house. You know, it's not just the age of the house, it's how badly is it neglected. So again, the condition of the materials or the surfaces being cleaned is going to make a huge difference. All right, so far we've covered your geography, we've covered the timing of the job, how far ahead are you planning, please do. The difficulty of the job, the difficulty can be the size of the job, the materials being cleaned, the condition of the materials being cleaned, the company's structure, the company that you're hiring. You know, is it a little mom and pop like we are, or is it a nationwide franchise where they've got expenses that I could never dream of? All right, so those are the big factors that come to my mind when it comes to thinking about what goes into the price that a homeowner will pay to have exterior cleaning performed. Next video, like I said, will be a little bit more tailored towards the service provider. I do want to explain what goes into how I price out a job. I'm not going to tell you what to charge. I'm going to say the process I go through to get to where I get. All right, so hey, if you have comments, if you think I missed something or forgot something or something wasn't valid, please comment. Let's have a dialogue on this, okay? Bye-bye.